What started with a 911 call about a man down in a Worcester backyard quickly became a massive manhunt, and within days, investigators were looking for a woman who had spent years advocating for the mental health of police officers. Now, the search is over, but the questions surrounding the deaths of Worcester police officer Kurt Solomon and his wife, Karen Solomon, have taken an even darker turn. Just before 5:30 Tuesday morning, August 18, officers were sent to a home on Wildwood Avenue in Worcester, Massachusetts, after a report of a man lying in the backyard. Inside the property, responding officers reported seeing blood, including in a bathroom. The man they found was 57-year-old Kurt Solomon, a longtime Worcester police officer who had served the department for 31 years. Authorities later said his injuries involved a sharp object, but they initially released very few details about exactly what happened. See CBS News. +1. Then investigators noticed something else. Dispatch recordings indicate the original 911 caller was a woman who lived at the house, and the phone number's voicemail identified the caller as Karen Solomon. Police repeatedly tried calling the number back, but no one answered. Soon afterward, a gray 2023 Toyota Highlander registered to the homeowners was reported missing, triggering a lookout alert. At that point, investigators weren't just trying to understand what happened inside the house. They were trying to find a person who had apparently left the scene. Boston Globe. Karen Solomon quickly became the focus of an enormous search across Worcester. Surveillance footage showed her walking away from the area shortly after police arrived, wearing casual clothing. Investigators warned the public that she could be armed and dangerous, even though Kurt Solomon's police service weapon was still accounted for. Worcester Police Chief Paul Saucier made it clear that authorities intended to keep searching until they found her. See CBS News. +1. And that's where this case became especially difficult to understand. Karen Solomon wasn't simply a name connected to the investigation. She was known nationally for advocating for police officers and first responders dealing with mental health challenges. She co-founded First HELP, an organization focused on reducing the stigma around mental health and supporting first responders and their families. She had also written about police suicide and the emotional pressures faced by people working in law enforcement. AP News. +1. Meanwhile, police expanded the search dramatically. Local officers were joined by state and federal agencies, with search teams working around Coes Pond and nearby wooded areas. Divers, sonar, tracking dogs, drones and other resources were used as investigators followed leads. Residents were asked to check their yards, sheds and security cameras, while public areas around the search zone were closed as the investigation continued. See CBS News. +1. Then, nearly a week after Kurt Solomon was found dead, the case took another devastating turn. On August 24, two employees walking near Fairlawn Rehabilitation Hospital on May Street discovered a body in the woods. Police responded and found a handgun nearby. Worcester Police Chief Paul Saucier said investigators believed the remains were those of Karen Solomon, although forensic confirmation through the medical examiner was still required. WBUR. +1. Authorities have since described the case as a suspected murder-suicide. That changes the central question of the investigation, but it doesn't answer every question. Investigators still have to establish exactly what happened inside the Wildwood Avenue home, what led to Kurt Solomon's death, and what happened during the days before Karen Solomon was found. Police have also been careful about releasing information because the investigation involves a domestic situation and sensitive privacy protections. See CBS News. +1. And while the investigation was unfolding, the Worcester Police Department was also preparing to say goodbye to one of its own. Kurt Solomon's funeral was held Wednesday, August 26, with hundreds of law enforcement officers, friends and community members gathering to remember him. More than 50 police motorcycles took part in the procession, and his sons remembered him not just as an officer, but as a father and a genuine person who kept his professional life separate from his family life. Boston Globe. +1. For a department already grieving the loss of a 31-year veteran, the circumstances make that grief even harder to process. Kurt Solomon was remembered as dependable, devoted and deeply connected to the Worcester community. His death began with a mysterious early morning emergency call and ended with a week-long search that stretched across the city. Now, with both Kurt and Karen Solomon dead, investigators are left to reconstruct the final hours of a marriage and a tragedy that has shocked a police department and a community. The biggest unanswered questions may never have simple answers. But one thing is clear, this story is no longer about a missing woman or a manhunt. It's about two lives that ended within days of each other, a family trying to make sense of an unimaginable loss, and a police department mourning an officer who spent more than 3 decades serving his city. AP News. +1. If you found this update helpful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Prime Wire, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest news. Thanks for watching.